So boosted stake was born in order to fix two issues on Cardano. The first one is that regular staking rewards are decreasing in APR terms. So when we started, maybe it was 5% per year as a staking rewards, and now it's around 3 point something. And the second issue that we faced as lending platform is that lenders were not so comfortable with defaults. Or even liquidations. They didn't like these kind of things. They wanted something even with a lower APR than normal loans, but with no defaults. And this is kind of hard in normal lending and borrowing. But this is where Cardano can help actually.
What is up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're going to be jumping into everything FluidTokens. If you guys are not familiar with FluidTokens, they're a lending and borrowing platform on Cardano with the recently released feature, which has brought a lot of eyeballs and attention to their platform, which is going to be boosted staking. On top of that, beginning January 18th, they have their fair liquidity event, or their LBE, right, which will be taking place utilizing the MinSwap Launch Bowl, which we're going to be jumping into. Now, for this particular video, I've got two members from the actual team joining me. One of them I've actually met in person in Dubai not too long ago, so let me go ahead and introduce him. Very well known within the community. He's been doing a lot, contributing. So yeah, without any further ado, El Raulito, or Raul, welcome aboard. How are you doing, man?
Hi Farid. All good, all good. It's nice to be here, and it's thanks for the opportunity to share with the community our project.
Yeah, not a problem. It's my pleasure. I tell people that I have here on the channel. My job is the easy part. You guys have the hard job of actually building something, right? And contributing to the network. My job is just to provide you guys the coverage. So happy to have you on board. Now, you're not going to be here by yourself. We've got Matteo in the background. Let me go ahead and bring him up now as well. Matteo, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Hey everyone. Thank you for being here. And I'm good. How are you? How is it going?
I'm good. It's Friday. The weekend's about to kick off, so I'll just be doing my content creation gig over the weekend. But I'm excited. I'm excited with all these platforms launching, bringing forward new tools. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about when it comes to FluidTokens. So as we just get ready to kick things off, maybe we just get a little bit of an introduction, right, about what you guys are doing and contributing to FluidTokens. And then let's also just give the viewers who might be hearing about FluidTokens for the very first time a brief overview of what FluidTokens actually is in terms of a protocol in Cardano.
Let me introduce FluidTokens in general. So for anybody who hasn't used it yet, it's one of the leading DeFi ecosystems on Cardano at the moment. And we have created 4 different protocols. We've been working on it for 2 years. And the latest one is called Boosted Stake, but we also have peer-to-peer lending, peer-to-pool lending, and renting on NFTs. And the last one is Boosted Stake. It's a project made by a team of senior developers in the blockchain. We've been here since 2019, and we are all seniors developers in general, not only on blockchain but full stack. And the idea was to create something for the community. So we try to always understand what the community needs, what are the problems in the ecosystem, in the Cardano ecosystem, and then create the solutions there. And we have released several versions already of our protocols, and there are $2.5 million in volume already. Boosted Stake has almost reached 2 million ADA of volume since last week that we released. So we are very satisfied with the project, but the community is also satisfied, which is more important for us.
I appreciate the introduction there. We'll maybe move it over to El Raulito. Give us a little bit about your background. And then, yeah, we'll jump into Boosted Stake.
Sure. So actually, Matteo is the one that introduced me to Cardano. I am an electronic engineer, and I was a developer also in my free time. I was starting my blockchain journey, exploring, well, for sure, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And once the Shelley era was coming in Cardano, he told me, look, things are going to change on Cardano. Assets are being created and smart contracts will arrive. And so I started from zero. We created our first Cardano node together and we were playing around with it. And I think it's, yes, more than 2 years now, and it has been a really really nice journey. I We started coding when there was only Plutus, and you can imagine how much time we spent coding something even that was so simple, and how quick is now to test and develop something using Aiken, Lucid, and these tools that we have now are really going to speed up development on Cardano.
Yeah, what a wonderful introduction into Cardano. From a developer's perspective, I do want to take a quick minute just to give you some kudos here. You recently developed, I think it was something labeled as the Shield, right? Which is aiming to protect Cardano community members with a recent uptick in scams. You've also been doing a really good job of spreading the word surrounding an ongoing scammer in the ecosystem. And so, again, this is fluid tokens aside, you've really been contributing to the security and showing that you really care about the Cardano community. That's actually one of the biggest aspects for me as a content creator that drew me to Cardano was the support, the transparency, and the cohesiveness of the community altogether. So, wanted to give you some kudos there. Okay, let's jump into boosted staking. And then for the second half of the interview, we're going to talk about everything surrounding the Fluid Tokens liquidity bootstrapping event. So, Mateo or Raul, do either one of you mind just
Yes.
briefly explaining, what is boosted staking? And then we're going to take a look at it from both perspectives, right? From somebody who has ADA that wants to put it on the platform in order to earn an additional APY, but then also from somebody's perspective who wants to borrow ADA in order to have a bigger stake. So let's start off with the introduction first, and then we'll take a look at both of those sides.
Sure. So boosted stake is was born in order to fix two issues on Cardano. The first one is that regular staking rewards are decreasing in APR terms. So uh, when we started, maybe it was 5% per year as a staking rewards, and now it's around 3 point something. And the second issue that we faced as lending platform is that lenders were not so comfortable with defaults, or even liquidations. They didn't like these kind of things. They wanted something even with a lower APR than normal loans, but with no defaults. And this is kind of hard in normal lending and borrowing. But this is where Cardano can help actually, because lending and borrowing with the staking delegation allow this. First of all, borrowers don't need collateral. I don't need a collateral if I'm borrowing something that I can't spend. And lenders in this case get also a good APR higher than regular staking rewards, and they are sure that there is no default, and their uh, the value that they are lending is going to go back to them. And this is the, let's say, the base where we built boosted stake. And it's yes, here we are. Boosted stake is something that can help not only on the lender side, because right now I explain only what are the advantages for the lender side, but one question that many people asked me is why people should borrow ADA if I'm not able to spend it. Well, the answer is simple: ISPOs. At least for now, ISPOs, because in 2023 we saw a growth in ISPOs, and I think that the first one and one of the biggest one was the MELD one, and many users wanted to join but didn't have enough ADA to get those rewards, those token rewards. And in this case, instead, those users are able to borrow for the amount of epochs they wish, the amount of ADA they need, and they are able to join and to, let's say, to increase, leverage their contribution in that ISPO. In this way, they are helping the project because the pool is growing, and helping themselves because their rewards are growing. So, for instance, here you are showing the interface of Boosted Stake, and it's nice to see, first of all, an order book liquidity amount available. We can see the different APRs, how are they are. And on the right side, we actually released it today. You can see the last loans made. And it's nice to see the amount, the APR. We have an average APR of 10%. And how much ADA lenders are actually getting each epoch.
Number one, really solid overview. Just as a recap here, from a lender's perspective, they have the confidence of knowing that any of the ADA borrowed cannot actually be spent. So, no risk for the actual lender. On the borrower side, they can come onto the platform and borrow with a low fee, but at the same time, they don't have to put down any collateral, right? So they don't feel like, hey, I have the potential of losing some sort of asset. You pay that fee up front and everything is done. So I really like that on both sides of the equation, that there is little to no risk and it's not overly complicated to understand, like with other portions of crypto, DeFi, and Cardano. A lot of different protocols. Just wrapping your head around how the platform actually works is very hard, which I think decreases the likelihood that someone is actually going to use the platform. So I want to commend you guys for making this simple and easy to understand. Now, the activity bar, yes, I noticed that earlier myself as well. Kudos to you guys for going ahead and adding that. I think that actually lets people know, hey, this platform is being used by real people. Again, when you're utilizing a platform, when I didn't see that activity, I wasn't sure what was actually going on. But when you're able to quickly see, 1.2K ADA borrowed, and that the lender's earning this particular amount of ADA, it lets me know these particular gains are real. The yield is real. People are utilizing this platform. So I think this is a really solid addition to what you guys are doing. Now, to kind of bring this back home with what Raul mentioned, right now it seems like the biggest use case is going to be for the ISPOs, basically getting a bigger share of the, not liquidity pool, the stake pool that you're delegating to. I want to pose a second question because right now we've got catalyst season. I'll just call it that. Can this ADA be used for voting in something like Project Catalyst, potentially giving it more utility?
Yes, I will let Matt explain a bit more of this, but the short answer is yes.
Perfect. Matt, over to you.
Yes, this is a very important and also somehow controversial thing. Is an option that can be done. So basically, people can get staking power for the catalyst voting using the booster stake, and this can sound controversial, as I said, but actually is super important because otherwise, if we didn't have booster stake here, only few people could leverage this. So imagine only the big whales and anybody who can actually code a contract like this, a smart contract like this, can actually do this privately. And so be unfair respect to the rest of the community. In this way, the protocol is public, is open to everyone, as always, as everything we do. And in this way, everybody can use these mechanics into the catalyst process. And this is fair game, basically. Otherwise, you have unfair advantage on some sides, and ways normally have this advantage.
Yeah, that is a fair point. This is, I believe it's open source. It's available to the general public. So it levels the playing field. I would definitely assume that as Catalyst comes around, that there's going to be high demand for boosted staking, right? Which basically presents an opportunity. If you are okay with somebody leveraging your ADA, right, and utilizing that for Catalyst, well, it's a trade-off, right? You're able to get a higher APY, you're able to get an ADA reward for that. So it doesn't come as something that's free. Again, both sides of the equation are happy, right? Somebody wants to borrow that ADA because they want their voice to be heard for Catalyst, and somebody gets paid for lending their ADA. We saw a very similar situation play out. I think it was with Optum, right? Where we saw somebody doing this basically, I want to say it might have been funding round number 10. And that really sparked an entire conversation around that back then as well. So I don't think that this is any different. As you guys mentioned, if you guys weren't the ones to put this out publicly, I wouldn't be surprised if people were doing this kind of behind closed doors without necessarily having all this being open to everybody to see. So let's jump into the lender's side. From a lender's perspective, what are you guys able to do to make this more attractive? What are the future plans to make boosted staking, that much easier to adopt and that much more attractive from a lender's perspective?
So, yes, let's start with how is it working right now and what is the incentive for lenders. So, at the moment, lenders that provide liquidity, the liquidity provided, if not used, is still delegating with them. So, even people that were just normal staking and delegating and so on, it is actually the same thing until it's not activated. And as soon as one borrower picks from the liquidity that is in the protocol, they will get the APR that they wish. So lenders get at least always staking rewards. That's the APR. And they have a lot of freedom. As you can see here, they can decide how long the liquidity is available. The minimum is 6 epochs or 1 month, and at most 36 epochs or 6 months. And this means that after this time, borrowers cannot use that liquidity. And they are, I don't know, they know that in 1 month they are going to use that liquidity. They can deposit there for 6 epochs, get increased the APR, and then in 1 month they are sure that they are able to withdraw the liquidity and use it. And this is the state of the art of boosted stakes right now. We are already in contact with other projects that are partnering and giving us new ideas. And it's really interesting. I think that in the next days or weeks we will share some details regarding this. And this is the first version and the simple one, easy for every user. uh, Even people that has never used DeFi can understand a bit more this what is this APR, what are the epochs, because they are used to have regular staking rewards. So I think that this is the answer to the question.
Yes, and I've got two quick follow-ups here. Just to make sure I understand, I want to confirm, when you provide ADA for boosted staking, you still earn your traditional ADA rewards. So if I were to
If
deposit my
yeah.
ADA,
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, just wanted to say yes, if not used by borrowers. As soon as they use it for that amount of time, you are not getting your normal regular staking rewards, because you are getting the extra rewards by the borrower.
And when you mean extra rewards, is that the amount that they're paying to borrow the ADA? Okay,
Exactly.
perfect. So if I were to put up 5,000 ADA as a lender and it's not being utilized, I still earn my traditional ADA rewards. As soon as somebody actually
Yes.
borrows that, then I begin to basically earn the fee that they pay to borrow my ADA. Now, my second question is surrounding the order book model. Because you guys are allowing for somebody to select the APR that they want to receive, right? I would assume that everybody wants to make the most yield. Therefore, if I'm coming onto the platform, I want to just put the slider all the way up to 20% because that's what benefits me the most. Now, that may not necessarily mean that somebody wants to come and borrow at that particular rate. Now, let's say that right now, as we can see, there is a lot of liquidity. It seems to be around the 13% range, but then even also at the 19% range. If somebody comes in and they want to borrow from the lowest range possible, right? And there's no liquidity available at that range after they borrow a certain amount, do you guys basically then take a look at the next APR level to kind of complete their order? How does that work? Can you maybe just kind of explain how you guys are able to aggregate these different yield levels in order to fulfill somebody's order when they're looking to borrow from the platform?
Mhm. Yes. So considering that we are using an UTXO model, thanks to Cardano, and this is actually very useful on order book dexes. Well, this is a kind of order book dex, but for lending and borrowing. And this means that we have a sort of order book with every liquidity available, and we are able to sort them by APR and to check how much of them we need in order to fulfill the order of the borrower. This is also something cool because uh, this means that every lender does not have to put his liquidity in one single pool. It is not aggregated in only one UTXO, and that's the one to be spent. So you need batchers and so on. No, similar to when you send ADA and there is the coin selection algorithm, when you are sending, I don't know, 1000 ADA, but you have your ADA splitting in different UTXOs. At the same way, if I need only 100,000 ADA, I can pick from different UTXOs from this order book. And this is allowed thanks to the Cardano model that is based on UTXO. So I can pick the different UTXOs, borrow from them, and pay each lender what they deserve. And so we have an similar to a coin selection algorithm that we call lender selection algorithm that pick the best APR and the one that are more filled as liquidity.
So I would assume as a borrower, I always want to pay the lowest amount.
Mhm.
As a lender, I want to earn the highest amount. So when you guys are going through that algorithm, are you guys pulling from the lowest APRs and then kind of working your way down the order book? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Correct.
perfect. That makes sense. Again, I've been covering this on my channel. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making any wrong assumptions, right? So I could imagine again, if you are a lender and you want your ADA to be borrowed out faster or quickly, then it benefits you to actually put it with a lower APR. That way, when somebody comes in to borrow, your ADA is actually lent out with that lower APR first, as the ADA is basically kind of worked or lent out in a top-down fashion, as we can see here. So I do appreciate you guys answering that. Let's kind of maybe jump over to the other side of the equation. So that was from the lender's perspective. No, did we start off? Let me make sure I'm not confusing myself here. I think we started.
It's the lender,
Yeah,
yes.
we started with the lender's perspective. Let's talk about the borrower's perspective. What are you guys doing to get the word out? What are you guys able to maybe work on moving forward to make this an even smoother experience for the person that's looking to borrow stake this time?
So on the borrower side instead, it's even easier as you see. There are only two fields, the amount that I need and the number of epochs. And this is really something tailored according to the borrower needs. So, for instance, if I need 10,000 ADA, that is the minimum. It is the minimum in order to make everything smoother. And actually, it's even the minimum amount that usually helps during the ISPOs or the pools. And as soon as I pick and pay the fees, that's it. It's done. Borrower doesn't have to do nothing. Even the return part, so when the ADA is going back into the protocol, it's not on the borrower side. There are some batchers. This time, yes, there are, but the batches are running are our batches, but they will be open source. Everyone can run it and contribute to the protocol. It's not something that is going to be run just by us, but there are going to be incentives for these batches to run and help us to make everything in a decentralized manner.
So again, just to confirm what you just said there, when the actual epochs run out and it's time to pay it back, that process will happen automatic. Oh, go ahead. Please clarify.
Almost like the borrower pays up front, so the lenders immediately get the money. Is the yield is immediately there, so it's not something about having to, give the money, the actual interest, but the original money are delegated to the borrower, right? And somehow this delegation must come back. The smart contract says, okay, now it's time to go back, and somebody has to trigger the smart contract to just move the delegation back to the lender, right? And this is done now automatically by our batcher, but which is going to be open source in order for anyone to use it. But actually, everybody that understands at least how smart contracts are coded can interact with our smart contract and fix his own um, staking that is currently in their borrowers. So it's not like a batcher where it depends your money. It's more a batcher that resets the situation and allows you to do it again and again, or to withdraw your money if you are the lender.
Perfect. I appreciate the clarification on that. One last question. So if I connect my wallet and I loan out 5,000 ADA and somebody borrows that 5,000 ADA, will my wallet actually show that 5,000 balance, or will that no longer be in my wallet while that's being lent out through the protocol?
You will see them in your wallet until the borrowers doesn't get them. So if they are locked in the smart contract, you will see them in the wallet because they point at your staking key. So it's your delegation and the staking rewards. But once the smart contract is triggered by a borrower that borrows them, then you won't see them anymore for the period of borrowing, and the borrower will see them in his wallet, but he won't be able to spend them.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next follow-up question. How are you guys able to prevent that? Can you guys maybe talk a little bit about the staking keys and how that works from a security perspective, of course?
Yes, of course. In Cardano, in the Cardano architecture, there are two different keys for each wallet. One is the spending key that allows us to, spend the money inside our UTXOs, and the other one is the staking key that allows to delegate your ADA in a very fluid way, in a very liquid way, to the SPOs, the pool operators in general. And this is what gives you the rewards each epoch about your delegation, right? And the smart contracts can lock ADA or whatever tokens, but still decide the staking key. So I can say use the spending key of the smart contract, but use the staking key of the original user. This is how it works basically. So even if the ADA are locked in the smart contract, so only the smart contract can unlock them because it's his own spending key. The staking key is the lender's one. So from Cardano perspective, those money still points to you, and you will get the rewards.
Wonderful way to break that down. I think that was one of the points that I kind of had an issue understanding at first, and I had to do a little bit of research myself to kind of better understand the difference between both of those aspects, right? So I do appreciate that. I think that will probably take us there through the end of the first portion of the interview, talking about boosted staking. Unless you guys have any closing comments or thoughts that you guys want to add there. If not, let's pivot and talk about the liquidity bootstrapping event, or the FLE.
Sure. So uh, we are actually going to launch the 18th of January, so in 6 days, on MinSwap. As many knows, or if people doesn't know, MinSwap has a launch ball that is essentially like a launchpad where liquidity bootstrap events happen. And what is a liquidity bootstrap event? Is a sort of way to find the price of a token according to the demand. So according to how much ADA people that are willing to get that token provide, we can find the final price of the token. Why a liquidity bootstrap event, you may ask? Well, we have seen in 2023, I think, the most number of token launches on Cardano. And we saw so many that we decided to check what was the fairest way to launch it. We wanted to do two things. The first one is to make a good allocation for the community. So we are allocating 32 million of our tokens for this event. There is a total supply of 100 million. So it's like one third of the total amount of the tokens will be used for this event. In this way, every other allocation will be smaller and will not be used to dump on the community. Instead, will be used to grow together with the community. The second thing instead was that if we want to ensure to avoid pump and dump schemes in a token launch, we have to ensure to have a liquidity pool that is thick enough to handle the swings and the volumes of the trades. And this is allowed in a liquidity bootstrap event if you use enough ADA to create that pool. And we are using actually 70% of the total ADA raised to create the starting pool. This means that it's really hard to create a pump and dump scheme unless you don't want to risk million of ADA to create something like that. And this is to uh, avoid bots or whatever.
Yeah, I think that approach should be the approach that the majority of projects take on Cardano when it comes to a liquidity launch, unless, right, they want to have some of those other issues. I know meme coins, I'm not going to name any specifically, tend to avoid using a launchable type platform because they want the numbers to go up. They want to get some of that excitement, right, surrounding their token and how quickly it's moving up and down. But if you're looking to do this the right way, you're looking to make sure that people stick around for the long term, there's no better option so far than I've personally seen with something like the MinSwap Launch Bowl. I believe that it was the Indigo protocol. They actually launched through the Launch Bowl. We also saw the Makasi protocol also launched through the Launch Bowl, which both have had little to no issues, and both have been, I think, very reputable in just their dealings here within the Cardano community. So I think you guys are doing it the right way. It may not be the most attractive way for somebody who's looking for a quick gain, but it's the most secure way to make sure that nobody gets taken advantage of, that there's no price sniping, etc. So I do appreciate that. Let's jump into some additional details here. So can you guys maybe talk a little bit about the inclusion process? Because as it stands right now, if I'm not mistaken, there should be no KYC or restrictions right now to actually join the launch bowl or the LBE event.
Exactly. Everyone can participate. People also asked us if there was a whitelist or people that joined the ISPO had some kind of priority. And the answer is no, everyone can join. We airdropped some NFTs to our ISPO delegators, and these NFT are also verified on JPEG.store. But this is not a whitelist NFT. It's only to have a small boost for the participation to the ones that are willing to. And except from that, uh, we are going to have our event running for 4 days or until we reach the maximum raised, that is 8 million of ADA. Every participant is going to get this NFT. It's an NFT that we are going to release for the participant with MinSwap. And what is this? It's a triple farming boost for MinSwap. What does it mean? That participants that decide to stay and farm inside the DEX, so they don't withdraw their tokens, they can earn additional Fluid tokens, Min token, and also ADA. And this is something important because participants can decide to get this NFT and trade it if they don't want to farm and they are not into it, or to use it whenever they want. They are not forced to farm since the beginning. Maybe they want to start 1 month, 2 months later, they can. So the strategy for each participant can be different, and we are allowing all of this.
I appreciate that insight. There's a couple of other things as well, right, that can actually sweeten the deal for anybody who's looking to participate as a part of the Launch Bowl event. So let's maybe jump into the ISPO NFTs. You guys had an ISPO that concluded not too long ago. Do you mind touching on that NFT? I believe those were recently airdropped, and then the role that they can also play with the bootstrapping event.
Sure. So we are dropped the NFT or the NFT ISPO reward to delegator of the main pool, so FLDT. And what is going to happen? On the 17th, so one day before, we're going to take a snapshot of the NFT holders. And according to each participant is going to receive a boost on their participation according to the NFT they were holding during that snapshot. So let's say that I provide 1000 ADA during the event, will receive a boost of 30 ADA to my participation. So the amount of tokens that I will get is likely as I join it with 30 ADA more. And this is going to be an incentive and a reward for trusting the protocol since the ISPO. And we hope to say, like, give this as token of gratitude to our holders.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that was a nice period that's actually been going on for quite a bit. That was very well received. At one point, I think the pool was almost close to full saturation. So again, kudos to you guys and just the support that you guys have received as a homegrown project here contributing to Cardano. As we get ready to close down the interview, I have to bring up the very last piece here, which is going to be the actual FluidTokens utility, right? So this is everything that we need to know about the Fluid token itself. I'll turn it back over to you, Raul. I don't want to spoil it here, but can you kind of break down the allocations, and then can you also touch on the utility there listed at the very bottom?
Sure, I will give the word to Matt so he can explain a bit more on the utilities, since he is he's the one that got the idea of one of them.
Right. So let's talk about utilities very quick. The FLDT token basically empowers the whole ecosystem. So all our protocols, the existing ones, and all the ones that are coming in this year in 2024, the roadmap is pretty thick, it's very deep. So it's very interesting to check when you guys have time. And first of all, we will have to reintroduce the fees on the protocols, because right now during the ISPO, we turn it to zero. But of course, every DeFi protocol to sustain itself needs some fees. And having the FLDT tokens allow you to have discounts on all the fees of the protocols, which is super important for anybody who's using our protocols, frequently. And then you also as the governance, of course, because there is a proper DAO legally in Switzerland that represents the holders of this token, and staking of the token itself. So allowing staking as classical term of this, super important to get additional rewards. And then of course feeless transactions. So it's basically we are working on a protocol called Aquarium, which is coming out in 2024 and allows basically solve the issue to having to pay transaction fees with ADA. So for everybody that wants to use, for example, stable coins only, or using custom native coins or FLDT, for example, they can pay now transaction fees with that. Don't have to manage ADA directly. And FLDT plays a key role here, first of all, because it can be used as payment, but also because basically a group of decentralized validators execute the actual transaction for these. And in order to become a validator, you have to lock a certain amount of FLDT as a guarantee of your good behavior, as we already do on Cardano in general on layer 1, right? So FLDT becomes a very important and has a key role in the whole dynamic of all these protocols together, and will benefit, of course, the holders, but allow also the ecosystem in general to flow correctly and in a safe manner.
Thank you for that. I definitely do appreciate that. I think that will actually probably bring us towards the end here. You mentioned the roadmap, so I went ahead and just quickly pulled that up. Maybe we just get a brief rundown of the expectations for 2024 Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. I covered this in my last Cardano Scoop no more than 24 hours ago. One of the biggest things that stuck out to me there was Q4, the midnight based enterprise solution. So, on top of everything else going on in Q3, what are some highlights that you guys are looking forward to here?
Okay, yes. The midnight part is still under a lot of NDAs for the moment, but it's we really want to share a lot of this news. But basically, midnight allows some use cases about privacy that are not possible easily on Cardano layer one, and this is super important for enterprises that needs to leverage a trustless ledger as a blockchain but without compromising their privacy during operations. For example, because competition can monitor them, etc. So we are working on several solutions that are basically DeFi services, and also not strictly financial services that run on midnight and can empower anybody who needs them. In particular, in this case, enterprises.
Yeah, very happy to see that. And I'm ready to hear the news when the NDA can finally be bypassed, right? So, on top of that, anything else that you want to share here surrounding the roadmap, the boosted staking, or the upcoming FluidTokens liquidity bootstrapping event?
I would say
I
that
think, please, Raul, go forward.
I would say that as community knows, we are available in our Discord and on Twitter. They can find us everywhere, and we are open to any feedback regarding the platform or explaining the maths behind the liquidity bootstrap event. We are really transparent and a docs team that likes to hear back from the community.
Any closing words there, Matteo?
Yeah, if you record in the booster stake, the feed on the side, right, showing you how much people lenders are earning, for example. This is our latest community feedback. So some people started saying, we want to see how is it going because otherwise it looks like nothing much. There's nothing much is happening, but they want to see. They have some feedback from from what's happening on the blockchain about this protocol. So we implemented it overnight. So our Dapp developers are super good and pretty fast as well. So we just did it. Everything
Yeah,
is based around the community feedback here. So
that's a big part of it. Um, a lot of these protocols can't survive without their community. We need people utilizing these platforms. So it's very important to make sure that you listen to these people, especially as you want them to continue to come back, right? You want them to have a good experience. Just like when we go, to the restaurants or to a restaurant or you go shopping, if you have a good experience, you're more likely to come back. Same exact thing applies here with Cardano, Web3, and all the dApps and platforms building on the network. Ladies and gentlemen, that will bring us to the end here for today's super deep interview surrounding everything that the the FluidTokens team has ongoing. Big thank you to Mateo. Big thank you to El Raulito. I like to say El Raulito instead of Raul. It's got a much better ring to it. But seriously, thank you both for jumping on the channel. It's been a blast here. For the viewers watching at home, if you guys want to find out more about FluidTokens and everything that they're building, I'll go and leave the links not only to their websites, but also to their socials, right? Make sure to go ahead and join the Discord, follow them on Twitter, do all that good stuff in order to stay updated. Again, with the LBE kicking off here on January 18th in just a couple of days. So make sure to go ahead and get ready for that particular event. If you guys appreciated this content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It really does make a difference here on the channel. If you guys want more content like this, consider subscribing to Dapp Central. And last but not least, if you guys have any questions for Mateo or Raul, please make sure to go ahead and leave them down below in the comment section. That said, and as always, we'll catch you guys in the next video.